guys, we are back with another episode of Trigger Warning. I am TT Torrez.
I'm Kim Osorio from the Bronx.
From the Bronx, you had to throw that in there.
The X.
So, we are back. Summer
back.
is over.
Oh my God, I'm depressed over that. I think tomorrow's a full moon, and next week is October, and now it's Merry Christmas.
Yes, I can't believe
It's gonna be so cold outside. It's freaking football season.
I love the fact that it's football season.
You like watching football?
I love watching football.
I like watching it in the background. Like,
Yeah.
I just like putting it on in the background, like the game is on, like I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna watch it like sometimes it'd be boring. But I will watch the Super Bowl.
Well, speaking of Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar is performing this year.
Okay, yeah, so we know that Kendrick's performing. I love Kendrick. I'm a huge Kendrick fan. But what do we think about the controversy surrounding the Super Bowl halftime show? You know, the news that came out,
And
confirmed by Jesse Collins, who produces the Super Bowl halftime show, that Jay-Z is the person that picks the halftime performer. He said it. He said that's Jay-Z's job. And there was speculation, right? But so what do we think about this? Because
but did he say? I saw that interview he did, right?
Who?
Jesse Collins.
Jesse Collins did the interview, right?
But it is assumed that Jay-Z is the one who picks the artist, but we don't know if Jay is solely the person that picks the artist.
Well, there's always a committee, right? But
always
he's
a committee.
basically, he's
Just like
the
Summer
Don
Jam.
Dada. He's the one who's making the decision.
I think that what people don't understand, and I deal with this at Summer Jam.
Mm-hmm.
Some people always say, "Oh, TT picks the acts." I put a list of potential performers in front of a committee of people who decides who performs.
Can you veto the performance of the performers?
No,
You can't veto if somebody up there is like on the Summer Jam list and you're like, they ain't really popping, and they was real mean when they came to the station last week. Like, you can't veto it?
Next question.
Okay. So we know Jay-Z can veto it.
You think so?
Jesse Collins said it. He said it. He's like, that's Jay-Z's thing. And for me, when the artists, were saying what they needed to say, right? When Lil Wayne posted his video where he said how disappointed he was to not be performing at the Super Bowl halftime show since it's in New Orleans, that's his city. And by the way, Wayne's a great performer. I will say that. I saw him at that Hip Hop 50th concert at Yankee Stadium last year. He was great.
I mean, he definitely has the catalog, right?
Yeah.
And the level of artists he could have bought out are super A-list. Drake alone, Nicki Minaj.
Absolutely.
The Hot Boys.
Absolutely.
He
has a point.
He has a point, but at the
get that it's
same
Kendrick's here.
time,
Yep.
you cannot deny that Kendrick is as equal of a superstar as Lil Wayne.
And Kendrick is more timely right now. So I understand the decision. Kendrick is like definitely on my list of like most played artists in my Apple Music. But do I really need to hear Not Like Us at the halftime show? That's crazy.
If that even happens, if I'm Drake's people, I'm not letting him call me a pedophile at the Super Bowl. I'm sending all type of paperwork. I'm sending all type of paperwork. Right? Like, I'm not letting that happen.
They are doing that song at the Super Bowl. It was probably put in the contract. It's probably there.
I'm sending all types of paperwork if I'm Drake.
It was like the biggest record last year.
Who started the rumor that Drake was offered to perform at the Super Bowl multiple times and he denied?
I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that came from.
I don't know if that was Elliot or Mari. What's the partner, the guy that does the podcasting, Rory and
Rory Moore?
What's
Rory
his name?
Moore?
Yeah, Mars.
Shout out to Rory and Moore. I love them. I love you guys.
Who said that? Who said that? Because then I saw the NFL came out and said something to the effect that they never offered Drake the opportunity, so that was lies. So I'm like, where did that come from?
Because you know podcasts be just starting shit. Podcasts be just starting.
Where did that come from?
You just start a narrative online and it just goes. It takes off and there's no confirmation. It's interesting that they actually spoke out against it, that they said, no, that's not true. That's interesting. That's interesting.
I say that all. I say...
But Tizzy, you're leaning away from this conversation about Jay-Z. You're leaning away.
I'm not leaning away.
Jay picked Kendrick. Acknowledge that.
But there's nothing wrong with Jay picking Kendrick.
I'm not saying there is. I just want to talk about all of the controversy between Jay, Wayne, Birdman, Cash Money, Young Money, whatever.
Is there beef?
Like, there's something. There is something there.
How can there be beef?
I don't say there's beef, but they got a problem. They got a problem. They felt like Jay was supposed to give them that. They felt like that's ours. This is our city, New Orleans. They felt like Jay was supposed to give them that.
But why? Why do you feel entitled to something?
I mean, I get the entitlement argument, but I get it. It's their city.
But
it's their city.
Not everybody.
Wayne's a pretty big artist.
But not everybody gets to perform at the Super Bowl when it's in their
not everybody.
City.
And I do, again, I want to see Kendrick, right? I love Kendrick, and I understand the decision, and I think it was the right decision. I do. But if I'm Lil Wayne, and I'm from New Orleans, and New Orleans is my city, and the Super Bowl is coming, and I think you're my friend, let's be real. We're talking about the entertainment industry and how things work, right? If you're my friend or I think you're my friend, I'm like, oh, Super Bowl's coming to New Orleans. He gonna put me on, right? It's Lil Wayne. It's not like it's like, we just talked last episode about Hurricane Chris. It's not like it's like you're going to, Shreveport and no. You're going to New Orleans. And if you're my friend,
but what else was
that I'm performing at the Super Bowl?
But what else was the deciding factor? What else was the deciding factor? That's something we don't know. We don't know.
We don't, but we do know this. We know that Kendrick and Drake had one of the biggest battles in rap history.
So you think that's the reason why Jay chose Kendrick?
I didn't say that. I think Jay made the right business decision. I do think that Kendrick is the right choice based on the year that he's had. But if I'm Lil Wayne, Cash Money, Young Money, Money, whatever, I'm going to say, you're coming to my city. If you're my friend, then you pick me. It's almost like they're thinking Jay's picking a side, right? Because Jay would never say anything.
Well,
Jay would never say anything.
Because based on what Birdman and Nicki Minaj inserted into the conversation, you would assume that there's a problem there. But in an interview, I saw Jay-Z say that he had respect for Birdman.
Of course he does.
And when he wanted to sign Wayne, out of respect for
Of course
Birdman,
he does.
he called.
But you're not hearing my point.
The point is null and void, in my opinion.
You're not hearing my point.
Because
it was the best business decision. Jay-Z made the best business decision. He is a businessman.
Yeah.
And he has showed us time and time again that the bottom line for him is money. But if you're in hip-hop, and that's my man's, and you come to my city, I would think you're picking me.
Well,
that was a realization for them. The rest of us, maybe we know and we understand. But that was their, and there's a sense of entitlement there for sure, because that's what happens in hip-hop. I'm not saying there's not. You don't just get to perform just because that's your friend, right? But if you're under the belief that someone got your back, you probably expected that to come your way. And guess what? It didn't, because he made the right business decision for his pockets.
And I think that is... And I understand why Wayne feels disappointed, because you're talking about someone who has catalog. You're talking about someone who has a fan base that is diverse. But at the end of the day, you cannot go wrong with the Kendrick Lamar.
No.
You know, Kendrick Lamar obviously dropped the record after it was announced that he was performing at the Super Bowl. Folks are saying on the internet that he was still taking shots at Drake. I don't think he was taking shots at Drake. I think he was taking shots at the whole entire industry.
Right.
I think he's frustrated with how media is going and how we just spoke about this. A lot of people now who has a microphone say all types of salacious stuff, how just in general the industry is going. I think it's so far out there now, you can't really reel it back in, Kendrick. You just kind of move in this space how you move.
Right.
I think it's so far gone. You can't reel this back in.
I know, and I think I agree with the choice to have Kendrick perform. Again, I do think it's kind of like undeniable. You're looking at a bigger audience, bigger than hip hop. This is the Super Bowl, right? And Kendrick had an incredible year. But when you turn on that Super Bowl, you're going to hear bim, 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 it.
How do we get back there? We were talking about
because
why
it's about dissing Drake.
It's not
the
about
Super Bowl,
dissing Drake.
and
it's not. You're making it about dissing Drake. It's not about dissing Drake. And by the way,
but that song is, and that's the big. That song is. It's the biggest song. One of the biggest diss records ever.
So you think Jay-Z intentionally booked Kendrick Lamar to perform at the Super Bowl to diss Drake?
No, I don't think he did that. No.
So why are you going back there?
I think that he was very aware of the fact that the #1 Kendrick song last year was a song calling Drake a pedophile, dissing Drake, and he didn't care because it was about his bottom line, and he put Kendrick on that stage, on that Super Bowl stage, and we're gonna hear. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't really, honestly,
we're gonna
I don't
hear a
really
song. We're gonna hear it. We're gonna hear
honestly, I wouldn't care if Kendrick performed that song.
Honestly,
I wish Kendrick did it.
I love the song. I think it was one of the best diss records ever. We talked about them dancing on Drake, but there's a piece of me, if I'm Drake, if I'm Cash Money, Young Money, Money, I'm like, damn, Jay, you gonna let this live in 2025? It's over. Absolutely. If you don't think that that's what's going through their head, like, oh, okay, you're good with that? Like that. Jay-Z basically is like, when it comes to the Super Bowl, he's sitting on top of the hip-hop community, and he's like making these decisions. He's like the hip-hop god for the Super Bowl, and he's saying, yes, my child, you may dance on Drake at the Super Bowl. That's kind of crazy. If I'm Drake and if I'm Young Money, Cash Money, I'm like, that's messed up if I thought that was my man's. You don't think? No. If I thought that was my man, but now I know that's not my man. If I thought that was my man, like,
why do you keep saying that? Why do you keep saying that if I thought that was my man?
Because if we have a relationship, and this industry is built on relationships.
How do you know
and if we have a relationship?
How do you know what type of relationship Wayne and Jay Cash Money have? How do you know?
Well, clearly they don't have that much of a good relationship because he wouldn't have let them come out with dance on and dancing on
What type of relationship they have?
Well, I think it was documented that Wayne had felt like Jay had helped him out through his career.
He did. He has the utmost respect for Wayne.
Yes.
He's helped Wayne numerous times.
And I think a lot of them.
Tax problems, this. So I don't think Jay looked at it as a slide or a diss to Wayne because he respects Wayne so much. I think he was just looking at it from the perspective of
a businessman.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So
he's a great businessman.
I don't think he had any intention of picking a side. I don't think he had any intention of picking a side. I think Jay just did what he felt was right for the culture in the moment. I don't think he was picking a side.
Is it good for the culture to continue to dance on Drake's head?
But who said he was going to do that? This is what you're saying.
I'm saying it, but I'm not alone because I think other people feel that way in the industry and in the comments, the audience. I think people know, like, That's what the big thing is to me, right? Like, yes, it's his city, but again, we have that argument about the entitlement. You shouldn't, just get to perform just because it's your city. But, Wayne's up there. You know what I mean? You got Jay, you got 50, Kanye, you got Drake, you got Wayne. He's up there with those icons in hip hop. So if the Super Bowl comes to his city, yeah, he thinks it's going to do it or somehow be involved in that. So I'm just saying that they probably felt slighted because Jay, there's a relationship there, which I'm assuming was a good one. And he said this year it's a better decision to have Kendrick, and he was right. So I'm going to allow the dancing on Drake for the Super Bowl in 2025, a year later.
I'm over.
A year later.
I'm over the Drake and Kendrick.
I am too, which is why I really don't want to see the song on the Super Bowl. However,
how do you know he's even going to perform the song
how
at the
can
Super
he
Bowl?
not?
How do you know? He might be over it himself.
I hope he's over it. He probably is over it.
Song. You think he's not?
You have to. The Super Bowl is for you to perform your catalog, like your biggest hits. Not like Us was a huge hit last year.
Arguably, probably one of Kendrick's most successful.
Maybe Kendrick should bring Drake out
single
at the Super Bowl. Maybe he should bring out Lil Wayne and show unity in hip hop. I'm all for unity in hip hop. Maybe that's the move. Maybe Kendrick has to be the bigger person, and maybe he has to say, "Okay, I'm done dancing on you." Because that's what they're going to do on the Super Bowl. They're going to dance on Drake when they play Not Like Us. That song is the most overexposed song I have heard in the last 10 years.
It's one of Kendrick's biggest commercial records.
I know. And it is, it's like enough already. And look, when it came out, I thought it was brilliant. I still think it's brilliant. I think it's an amazing record. One of the best diss records ever made. I said before on this podcast that I've never seen a diss record that has come out with a dance. And I think that was incredible. Mm-hmm. What he did was incredible. But when the Super Bowl comes around, it's going to be 2025. So to continue to go back there and that moment, We
don't know what Drake's going to do between now and then. Drake is an incredible talent. And I like the fact that he's not stopping putting out records. I'm glad he's continuing to...
I'm sorry. I just had a thought. Never mind. Do you remember the video that leaked of Drake? And when they were having the memes of
with
Drake?
His penis? Are you thinking about Drake's penis right now?
It was mad funny.
What is going on?
It was mad funny. I don't know. I just had that vision when you said, we don't know what Drake's gonna do between now and the
he's gonna stroke the
elephant? We know what he does.
You think he's gonna stroke the elephant while Kendrick's performing? What?
Oh man, I saw a lot of memes when that came out, and I thought it was funny. Sorry, just thought about that. I don't know what. The internet got this industry going crazy.
Let's move on from this.
What was the next topic? Okay,
Let's move on from this.
I'm sorry, but they're going to play that song.
I hate the fact that Cleopatra and Ice Spice have this little beef going on the internet.
Is it still going?
I feel like it's still going. I wanted to ask your opinion while we're talking about
Well, Cleo's my cast.
I know.
So
that's why I want to talk to you about it, because it goes back to this entitlement thing. She says that Ice Spice invited her on tour.
Which is a great thing for Ice Spice to have done.
But, she didn't treat her the best. Like, her security didn't grab her luggage, et cetera, et cetera. And folks on the internet I saw, felt like she was being a little entitled. And others felt like, well, if that was Ice Spice's friend, then she should have took care of her.
Right.
What I don't like about this, and I say this all the time, and not necessarily pertaining to them, it's just in general, when you fall out with someone that was supposed to be your friend, there are things that you are supposed to just not talk about.
Okay.
because you friends at the time, y'all shared some things, whatever, text messages, whatever the case may be, shit in private moments. Like, if you're spilling my business after we had a falling out, that means you didn't fuck with me from the jump. I don't like chicks like that. I don't like the fact that when it's good, I could tell you anything, we good, we friends, but we had a falling out, you want to spill all the business on the internet. To me, I just feel like that's just for weak bitches. Like, I just think that's corny. I think it's corny for chicks to do that.
I wouldn't do that to my friends. I wouldn't go on the internet and blast my friends.
Even if
I would go on the internet and blast business colleagues or whatever if they violated me, right? Or I guess it depends, even with friends, it depends on the level of violation. And I think they just met like a couple years ago. I don't know how friendly they are in real life. I think on the internet, it looks like they're friends and they have probably a transactional relationship. And Cleo is an artist who is a social media influencer. So she has gained notoriety by being this person who's very outspoken on social media. And I'm not just defending her because she's on my cast. I'm saying, knowing her, knowing what she does, if I invite her on my tour, then I'm going to be smart about it. And I'm going to make sure that I don't do anything that is going to trigger what I know she already is famous for. So you put someone on your tour that is known for social media amplification of everything in her life. So you risk that when you put her on tour. Mm-hmm. And then you should have took care of her. If you knew that, and you know that there is a press debacle about to happen if you piss her off, right? Because Cleo is still a new artist, right? So she put her on tour. I believe Cleo said she didn't pay her for being on tour. Now, that's already setting yourself up to be in a situation that's adversarial with someone. Because it doesn't matter what I do. I appreciate every opportunity that people give me. But at a certain point, I'm like, okay, is this worth my time?
But that's something you should have negotiated between your managers
Absolutely.
ahead of time. So why wasn't your business taken care of?
And that's where Ice Spice should be able to come out and say, like, what you talking about, you didn't get paid. Like that
has
I invited you on tour.
Right. Me. That's up to your business.
She has every right to say that. And I think that they had this back and forth and it got ugly and I don't even know where it lands now.
Who do you think benefited more off of that? Because obviously Ice Spice is, when it comes to artists, mm-hmm. Ice Spice is a bigger known artist, rapper, right? And, you know, Ice Spice is in the Dunkin' Donuts commercials with Ben Affleck, and she's on red carpets at all the award shows, and her music is streaming crazy and on tour and all of that stuff. Whereas Cleo, we just know her to be, you know, the social media influencer correcting languages and grammar, you know, with the board and stuff like that. So I'm curious, who do you think benefited more from the opportunity?
I think Cleo would benefit more from the opportunity, mm-hmm. right? Because I think for Ice Spice, it's more of a risk to put someone in your circle on your tour that potentially could jeopardize your image, right? So what I saw, you know, is that, and the audience is split because a lot of people are like, yeah, that, you know, Ice Spice was wrong, right? What I saw was you're on tour, you have all these things going for yourself, and now you have to deal with someone that the audience believes is your friend. I don't know if they're really friends, you know, saying things about you and assassinating your character, because that's ultimately what it is. So that's a risk on your team's part. There's always a talent management factor in that type of situation. So I think that when things were happening, right, I just knowing Cleo, I'm sure she had to express her feelings to someone. So there was no damage control done. Like, how long did it take before, boom, she's out there talking about, like, what happened between them? I don't know. I don't know how long it was. You know, obviously it was a buildup, but there were a lot of accusations going back and forth between the two of them. So that's why I'm saying, like, it feels more transactional than it does like an actual friendship, because it's not like they sit down, like, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about this.
And the thing about those transactional relationships you got to be really careful of is when the transactions stop, it ultimately leaves someone feeling a certain type of way. You know, you and I, you know, we're seasoned professionals. We've been in this business a lot. We've helped a lot of people. We've put a lot of people on. You know, some folks benefited, some folks fell by the wayside. But when you stop giving them the access or the transaction stops, then they love to paint a different picture about you. Mm-hmm. They forget about when it was working or benefiting from them. Right. When they were getting access to the parties, or they were getting access to the artists, or they were getting access to the red carpets, or sitting, you know, courtside at a basketball game or at a fashion show, sitting next to the runway. When it was benefiting them, it was all good. But when the transaction stops, it always goes fucking south.
Well,
that's why it's like, listen, young girl, stop giving these bitches transactional access to you.
Well, I mean, there's a lot I could say. I have to dig deep into that, right? Because the alliances that a lot of these girls are forming, you know, you never know if they're real, true, and genuine, or if they're for a look. Right? And we see a lot of it.
But one person always gets hip to it. Eventually, you get hip to it.
Right.
Like, you get hip to it. Like, this chick is only fucking with me because of what I'm able to give her. You get hip to it. You know what I'm saying? It's only a matter of time before you like, okay, yeah, I see it.
You think that Cleo was only messing with Ice Spice because of what
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you said, you know, how much were they friends, or was it a transactional relationship? I'm just talking about if it was a transactional relationship, one person always going to get hip to it. Like, once you're eventually going to get tired of the transactions.
Right, because I think, I hear what you're saying. I just think that,
not saying that this was their
right. We don't know the nature, like, really, like, what happens when it's not on social media, when they're not sitting courtside, right? Like, are they hanging out when really there's not a photo op?
Right. Are they really good?
You know, because are they both using each other, right?
Because eventually one person out of the relationship gets hip to it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, bitch, I'm going to let you benefit off of me a few more times.
Right.
And then I'm going to start to ski. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to start.
But I do love that Ice Spice brought her on tour. I thought that was a genuine sort of thing to, like, I'm going to give you this opportunity, because it is an opportunity. Whether or not you're getting paid or not, like, look, I always want to get paid, but I do see the value. I know a lot of people who do things without getting paid to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. Right? And they put in that work. It's like almost like an internship.
Yeah.
Right?
But you got to have people negotiating the terms and stuff for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've worked with artists on a multifacets of their career.
Right.
And if I'm negotiating something, even if it's free,
right,
or whatever,
you gotta
button it up. You gotta button it up.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the per diem? You like. Smallest things, security, makeup, glam, bop. You gotta button it up. Especially when you're going on a multi-city tour of that magnitude.
Right.
You gotta have some layers to it, so it's crystal clear.
Right.
No, bitch, you're not using my security because that's gonna cost me X amount of extra dollars.
Right.
No, you can't use my makeup artist because now she's charging me for two people instead of one.
Right. So were those some of the concerns? I'm not even sure what the concerns were. Like, I know it was the luggage carrying.
Or even like going out to dinner, right? Like, because if I'm only budgeting for a staff of whatever and I got an extra amount, that's gonna, for X amount of days, that's gonna move the budget to XYZ. So a lot of that stuff got to be ironed out because it starts to catch up.
100%. That's true.
Right?
That's
because
true.
you're talking about
before you even go.
Right, because you're talking about, you're talking about meals, hotels, travel expenses, blah,
Right,
blah, blah, blah,
right,
blah,
right,
blah.
right.
Like,
Too much.
It's too much. It becomes a lot.
Yeah.
You gotta iron that shit out.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
What I mean?
That's true. So the business definitely was flawed, I think, and that kind of led to their tension.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So Shannon Sharp.
Come on, that was great.
You
Come
thought
on,
it
that was great.
I felt it was
Everything that's like a great shade room moment, like a great story, I can't get enough of that. The spectacle of it all.
I think it was for publicity, to be honest.
I can see that. That's what everybody's saying.
Let's go through it, right? First, you got to put in your passcode for your phone.
Right. In order to go live? Okay.
So I'm putting in my passcode. I'm
Right,
going live.
right.
Then I'm going to Instagram, right?
Right.
So we click on Instagram. Then you got to turn the thing. You got to flip it.
Right.
Then you actually
I don't
have to
even go
scroll
live that much,
to go
so I
live.
don't
So
know.
you got to go through posts,
Right.
stories, reel.
Right.
Then hit the live. Then you got to actually press the live. And then it counts you down. 3, 2, 1. And then it's checking your connection. So how
did he just
did
accidentally
you just
go live?
live? See, now we're live.
You're live?
Now we're live. So how do you go through all of these steps? Hi, say hi, Kim.
We live.
We're live. And then you gotta wait for people to come into your live. So how do you go through all of these steps without making a mistake? Hi guys, so yeah, we're live. I'm going through the live. We're shooting our podcast and we're talking about Shannon Sharp
accidentally
going live. How do you go live by an accident? Like when you have to go through all of those steps to actually get to the live.
You know what? I hear you, because I feel the same way. However, sometimes I'll be like in the bathroom, right? And you ever take your phone to the bathroom and you set it down, and all of a sudden, the Instagram spies, I'll be like, oh my God. And it'll look like, I'm not live, but it'll look like I'm about to post something, like I hit the wrong button. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
think it was for Cap. I think that he needed a moment. I think he needed a moment. I think he wanted a viral moment.
You think people wanted to know he wasn't gay? He wanted people to know he wasn't gay? Is that what you think? Because that's what they're saying. That's what the internets are saying. They're saying that they felt like he was trying to prove that he wasn't gay. That's what the most of the comments are.
Listen, even after that video, I still will not fuck Shannon Sharp.
Well, you're married.
Even if I wasn't, I have no desire.
I love that they call him Unc on the internet. I love that they call him Unc. So I think, first of all, it was funny. It was funny.
Look, somebody says in the live, yep, he did it. He's lying. There is no way you could go live without doing it yourself. Exactly.
Here's the one thing that trips me up. Why did he put out the fake press release first saying that
he got hacked? He said
hacked.
His team did it. He said his team put it out.
Right. Why did he say? Oh, he said his team said he hacked it.
Someone said he doesn't know how to use the internet. He like 40. He older than 40.
He definitely older than 40.
All his friends confirmed in family
That he don't know how to use the internet. So that's
you
what kind
gotta
of threw
go
me
through all
off.
those steps,
I know
though.
you just went through all those steps, but that's what threw me off, because it's like that first reaction of saying my phone was hacked was like you didn't even have it prepared.
So how do you know to write that so quickly? You don't know the internet. How do you know how to write that so quickly, but you don't know you didn't go live? Like,
It was entertaining.
I
get it. It was entertaining. It was funny. Then, but you know what I will say that makes me kind of side with you on it? When he went live that night to talk about it, it was like a whole setup.
It was like a whole I'm going to sit down with Ocho Cinco. We're going to talk about me mistakenly going live. mic.
Yeah, it was like a whole
And then
setup.
I'm throwing up the T-shirts, and I'm like, yo, like my G is like.
Was there a woman who said it was her or no?
No, there was a woman that they were claiming was her,
okay.
because they went to like who he follows on socials.
Damn, they did all of that.
You know, the internet be trying it. So they went on social and they tried to track down the girl, and she said no, it wasn't her.
Oh my God.
It wasn't her voice in the video.
Oh my God.
But you know, listen. All right, I'm gonna end my live, guys, so we can get back to
your
Tik
live,
Tok.
so we can. And since we're on Shannon Sharp and the crazy accidental live, but I want to talk about that Marlon Wayans interview that he did, because I really wanted to watch it. My friend kept telling me, watch this interview. I really, really love a lot of the stuff that Marlon Wayans has been doing lately, and I thought it was a great interview. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Marlon Wayans after watching that interview. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things he said, he talked about his upbringing, his parents, right? I just thought it was a great interview, and we knew he was going to land in a big interview after he had the back and forth Twitter controversy with DJ Vlad. Mm-hmm. Because the whole thing was that, and you know, I have my feelings about that, because it's like Vlad was putting him on blast because apparently Marlon had asked for $40,000 just to sit for the interview. But we set our price on what we think we're worth.
Right.
So if he said, okay, I'll do the interview for $40,000, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you don't want to pay him $40,000, don't pay him $40,000 and be like, pass on the interview. You have other interviews, but why put it out there? Why put it out there? That to me was like doing too much. Because if we have a business conversation and we can't come to an agreement, and I go my separate way and you go your way and you go pursue your next interview and you go do a next interview, why you got to tell everybody what I asked for? Mm-hmm. Unless you're trying to trash me. Yeah.
Damage my brand.
Right. And who's to say what he's worth and what he isn't worth?
Yeah.
Especially on a platform like that where, look, Vlad making money.
Oh, Vlad makes a lot.
Yeah, and he pays for interviews, and we know that. And on top of that, a lot of the internal, or the insiders in the community of comedians or hip hop artists that are doing these interviews, they talk. So they're telling each other what they're getting paid. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure Marlon has some context as to what Vlad is paying. I don't think he's just throwing out some willy-nilly number. I'm sure he knows from other comedians or other people who, you know, what they've gotten paid. So this is my price. Mm-hmm. And I've heard some astronomical numbers put out there about Vlad offering money for interviews. And look, he's got the money. I do believe people should be paid for interviews sometimes, right? If it's not a press thing that you're, people are making money off of these interviews, especially when you think about monetization on YouTube. So why not? I want 40 racks for my interview. But to put it out there that was you was doing that on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I appreciated that Marlon said, you know what? I'm going to go do this other interview, right? Go do Shannon Sharp. And it was a great interview. I thought it was a great interview.
And Shannon Sharp paid him?
I don't know. But at that point, when you did that to me, I wouldn't even care about getting paid. I'm going to go do an interview on another platform to show you, that I am worth it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Shannon Sharp has to pay for interviews, right? It's a huge
production.
Show. Yeah,
I'm sure there's a production cost to it.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about what you do on a production side on TV, there is a production budget.
It's a budget. There's always a budget. People pay for what they want to pay for. So it's
when I pop up and do certain stuff, there's budget.
There's always a budget.
Book me for interviews, or not interviews, but book me for TV appearances.
Right.
Some, I may do it for free, depending on what it is.
Right. Or the relationship that you have with the person.
Right.
That's another factor, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's getting murky now, because when people call you for interviews, sometimes they don't understand that when you're dealing with production, other people are paying So just to put yourself out there, if you're not promoting something, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
because, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, hey, you know, especially if they have a smaller platform that they're trying to get, like, I'm not sitting in, you know, like I'm not sitting in Shannon Sharp. But, you know, people have their own podcasts and they're trying to get them off the ground and they ask you to do interviews. So depending on the relationship that you have with people really will determine whether or not you're going to do the interview, right? But people sometimes be asking for a lot by asking you to sit for their interviews.
Yeah.
Because you are, like, look, you're getting paid for them.
Yeah. Have you read Eve's new book?
Oh, boy, I just saw a Diddy headline. I want to look at it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to come back to Eve. Y'all ready for this?
What?
Diddy has been taken into federal custody in connection with alleged sex trafficking investigation. Did not say, based on that lawsuit that we talked about in the last episode.
This is breaking news right now. As we're taping, this just came out. Wow. Breaking
I said
news.
I wanted to
Diddy
look at the
has
headline.
been taken into federal custody in connection with alleged. Wow.
I knew that was happening when I said that. I said that to you the last episode about that lawsuit.
You said
You
said that he was going to get indicted.
I knew it. That lawsuit, reading that lawsuit, I was like, oh, it's coming. She was the first person that said, yeah, he tried to traffic me. So now with that and everything they've been building, I knew that was happening soon. Wow. Let me just read a little bit more since this is breaking.
Wow.
According to TMZ, Diddy was taken into federal custody in New York into the FBI field office in Manhattan. Reports state it appears the action was taken in connection with the ongoing criminal investigation into alleged sex trafficking, along with other offenses. As we previously reported, the allegations led to search warrants and being issued and executed at Diddy's homes in Beverly Hills and Miami. Diddy's attorney released a statement. We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the black community. That was Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, via TMZ. I said it. That last case that I read, filed by Dawn, I said it. I said, this is it. This is the one. They about to take him in. You're speechless.
I'm very speechless.
You're speechless.
Because, I'm just sad. I'm sad that he is someone that I deeply respected, that I had the opportunity to be in conversation with at his home, know his kids, respected him so much, never experienced any of the things that I have read. But I am not sitting here justifying his behavior in no sense. He needs to be held accountable for the crimes that he has committed upon women. I'm saddened that his choices have impacted not only the people that loved him, but his legacy for the culture. What he has contributed will now be looked at differently. This will overshadow any contribution that he has done for hip-hop. And I think we can feel one and the same. I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think we can feel sad for his legacy while also feeling like you should have stopped and you need to be held accountable for your actions. And everybody that enabled that behavior,
right,
sat back and watched, cheered it on, amplified it instead of getting him the psychological help that he needed to be a better person, a better human. Because see, God blesses you with all of these things, all of these gifts, and you know, if you don't use them properly, it would all be taken away. It will all be taken away. Whether it's taken away in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, you can't escape the universal law of karma. The only thing that, as I said before, fixes things is changed behavior. Looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm going to be better, I'm going to do better, I'm going to change my behavior. And, you know, part of us, at least for me, feel bamboozled, you know. And I'm just like,
you're speechless.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, like
it's a big deal. I can only say that I'll pray for him and his family, the people who were affected,
yes,
by his actions. Really, because it's an unfortunate situation for everybody. But when we talked the last time about the case that Dawn filed against him, you asked me before, you said, what were you most disturbed by? And I said, listen, we're you know, I read all these allegations, but I'm really, at this point, after seeing all this stuff, I'm really disturbed by people enabling this behavior. TT, let's be real. He ain't the only one with flagrant behavior in this game. So I think it's a wake-up call for us to start checking people, right? Especially if you hold a position of power or a position in the media and you know that something is going on. Like, I think it's time to start calling things out and to start standing up for what we know is right. Because a lot of people are being treated unfairly, right? And a lot of people are being abused, and a lot of people are being punished, and the industry is really been a really ugly place to work at times, or to work in at times.
Absolutely.
With some of the stuff that we've
seen. In a way, the industry has treated women over the years. You know, men can get away with such terrible behavior. And they justify it because of who they are. That's just their persona. That's a character. You know, look at how much we've benefited off this relationship, how much money they bring to this company, how much, you know, albums we sell and XYZ. So they justify the terrible fucking behaviors. And it's not good.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean,
and eventually what this has taught us, it will come to an end. Look at R. Kelly. Look at fucking Puff. Look at Dame Dash to some degree. Look at all of these people who have had these reputations of being a not so nice person. How it has played out for them towards the end. It's not good. Change your behaviors before it's too late. Change. Do right by people. Do good business. Do right by people. Do not abuse people. Do not abuse your power. You're given a gift. You're given a gift. To sit in these positions are gifts. To be able to defy the odds is a gift in itself.
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is so crazy. I think we're gonna wrap soon. It's like, I know it's so funny because when my phone was ringing, it was almost like I know why it was ringing, right? Wow.
And I can't imagine the level of trauma that these women have suffered through.
Wow.
The level of trauma and therapy that these women will have to go through for the rest of their lives.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about next time we see each other.
Yep.
And on that note, make sure you subscribe to Kim Osorio Media on YouTube. Like, comment, share, all of that, because this is trigger warning. I'm like, wow, this is trigger warning.
And
Your platform, please. Your platform, please.
And make sure you subscribe, comment, like TT Torrez, 3 T's, ORREZ. You can also catch Trigger Warning on all streaming platforms, wherever you get your podcasting.
Yep.
We will be there. We're going to break down this Diddy thing a little bit further in our next episode.
Yes.
We're going to do some deep diving into the
Yes.
case.
Yes.
And, yeah, that's it.
Well, this was a good episode.
This was a really good episode.
Oh, my God.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Follow me, Kim Osorio 1. KIMOSORIO 1.